parents getting their kids ready for the school year probably didn't have this on their back to school checklist. Figuring out what President Trump's recent executive order overhauling the country's childhood immunization schedule means for them. Here to help us sort this out is Dr. Ben Weston. He is the Milwaukee County Health Policy Advisor and a professor in the Department of Emergency Medicine at the Medical College of Wisconsin. Thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me back.
The executive order suggests reducing the number of vaccines recommended for kids, and it also calls up for breaking up vaccines that are traditionally delivered at the same time, which could make it harder for parents because they'd have to make multiple appointments, and it could increase the chances of missed doses. Why is this happening? Is there new medical research that recommends this?
Yeah, I think that's one of the critical parts. We're not seeing new medical research that really supports any of this. Cutting down the number of vaccines. These have been carefully studied vaccines. There's a reason why there's vaccines. It's because they're preventable illnesses that can have very serious effects down the line or in the immediacy, particularly for children. So there is not new evidence here. And look, frankly, I can tell you myself, parenting is hard. There's a lot of hard parts to parenting. We don't need keeping your kids safe from infectious diseases to be another difficult part of parenting. And that's what we'll probably see from some fallout here. It's more visits to the doctor. It's more things to keep track of as opposed to just keeping it simple.
These changes are being recommended at a time when, as a country, we are already in the middle of a measles outbreak.
That's right.
This is just going to add to the confusion for parents and perhaps the danger for children.
That's right. Yeah, we're seeing thousands of cases of measles here, even just this year so far across the country. And one of the vaccines that's really been in the crosshairs here is the MMR, the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. Now, for a little bit of context, it used to be, or it can still be, MMRV. It can include varicella as well, but there is evidence that the CDC looked at. They saw there was one seizure. It's a febrile seizure. It's not a dangerous type of seizure, but nonetheless, per 2,500 kids. And so years ago, the CDC reacted to that, and they changed the vaccine. They separated out the V from the MMR because of that one febrile seizure per 2,500 kids. Now what's being recommended is separating out the M and the M and the R, but unfortunately, there's just not the same sort of evidence for doing that. But it does make it a lot more difficult to keep your kid vaccinated. Instead of one visit to the doctor, now we're talking about 3 separate visits. Not only is that inconvenient, but it decreases that level of protection. It means there's going to be a delay to protect your child from these serious illnesses.
One of the things that can confuse parents is these recommendations that come out. What's the best thing for parents to do? How can they decide what they need to do for their child? Because these are recommendations. It's not the way it has to be. It's the way the government is recommending that it be. How do you figure it out?
Yeah, it's confusing. And what's even more confusing here is this is not replacing the CDC recommendations. This is an executive order to figure out how best to move forward these different initiatives. So right now you have a CDC vaccine schedule that, because of a federal court, has been blocked on changing it because there wasn't enough evidence to justify that. You have the American Academy of Pediatrics, which really now by 23 different states, including Wisconsin, is the trusted source over the CDC on vaccine requirements. So it just creates, unfortunately, this landscape of confusions. Listen, health, medical issues, vaccines, they're complex enough. And so putting this extra complexity, this extra confusion on top of it, just makes things really difficult.
Do you just talk to your doctor? Is that really the best thing you can do?
Yeah, I think most pediatricians, most family medicine doctors are following this. They know what the right guidance is. They're probably following the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is using the really evidence-based vaccine schedule. And so even though there's this executive order, even though the CDC is trying to change things up, at the individual level right now, I think that really is what it is. It's talk to your doctor, see what they recommend. Now, where we could see in the future, though, is this may affect how pharmacists can administer vaccines. It may affect what vaccines are being insured. And that's something we have to think about in the future. Today, if you're going back to school in a few weeks, your kid's going back to school in a few weeks, and you need to get them vaccinated, I would talk to your doctor, and they can help you figure out what the best guidance is. But most doctors are going to stick with the evidence-based guidance from the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Dr. Ben, thank you so much for helping us sort this out. It is confusing, but you have given us some clarity. Thanks so much for being with us.
I hope so. Thank you.
We're right back.